Yeah, obviously frustration as we talked after the game, but I think the message is consistent, for us from the standpoint of win-loss. Process is the process here, and we certainly got to address from our standpoint, again, what those issues are, how do we fix them. Consistency, I know you've heard that from us over and over again. We got to find what we got to do to continue to get these guys play fast and finish drives. That's the message. We got to finish drives. That's the frustrating part of it. I think you look at every game we've played this year from yardage and first downs and moving the ball on and on and on, but from the standpoint of finishing it just hasn't occurred.
You mentioned that you moved the ball pretty well between the 30s and even the 20s. Is there something that you do well in that area that maybe we aren't trying as much in the red zone that we need to do more often?
I don't think so necessarily there. I think, it's been pretty consistent defensively what we've got, and teams are going to keep things in front of them and make us go 8 to 10 to 12 to 14 play drives. And I think in those situations, again, it's critical, right, for us to be at our best when we get tired. For me, from a play calling standpoint, whatever it is, the consistency's got to show up. You look at the second drive of the game, I believe it was a 12, 13 play drive, 7 minutes long, on and on and on. So we got to, we know where we're at. We know where the explosive plays have got to come from. We've got to make some of those so we're not in every drive where it feels like we're going 12 to 15 plays. And then certainly the frustration of not finishing in that game twice, getting the ball in the red zone, turning it over, penalties, and then not finishing on the 1 yard line is one that hurts.
Was there something in that drive where you all didn't go 12-14? I think it was only 7 on that Dane touchdown. What worked well then that you were able to move the ball so quickly?
You're talking about the second to last drive of the game there?
Yeah.
We were in a 2-minute operation, to be honest with you. And again, certainly from a tempo standpoint, right, that's our 2-minute operation. We got the ability to play fast. Do we see the exact same looks in that drive than we normally do? Probably not. Are they playing softer on us? Were we able to protect the edges? Yeah. So I know that's naturally the thing of, hey, tempo and going fast and all that. But again, if those drives don't go as planned, it could get bad fast. So that's something we're always trying to gauge, playing complementary football and just continue to work through it.
Bush, how do you balance, obviously the quarterback run is part of this, and you want to use Gavin to take some hits off Brock, but bringing him in there for those plays versus just handing it off to your running backs who have been pretty good to this point and are showing those things there?
Yeah, again, we're looking at everything, and we understand the standpoint of the rhythm piece, and a lot of the reasons last week was certainly just the overall health of Brock in those situations. I think, John, the biggest thing for us is it goes back to, right, we've had 5 runs over 20 yards this year, and so you look at that and we've got to get that number up. That's basically saying, hey, less than once a game we're able to create that kind of play. So when we look at Gavin, again, you look at everybody on our roster from the standpoint of what he did at Rutgers, he's still a guy that's showed or displayed the ability to create those runs for us, and I think that's the big focus. Again, we feel we've been able to move the ball, get first downs. I think that was another game of over 20 first downs, but at some point we've got to create some big ones, got to create some explosive plays when they're playing us soft on the back end and not necessarily letting us get down the field. So we think Gavin's one of our better players, and that's why he's getting that opportunity.
I know you guys didn't enter the season with Chip as, you didn't enter the season with Demie thinking he was going to be a workhorse back, but is there an opportunity that Demie could handle more of the load, get more carries?
Yeah, I think you guys know how it is, man. Like, he's doing some good things. There's the Wilcox thing of getting him more carries. And so we've addressed it. I think when you get in those situations and who's going to be touching it, you got to make sure there's the efficiency piece. And I know I sound like a broken record from the explosive piece. Who is creating those runs? I think the thing everybody's excited about with Wilcox is, with far less carries, he's able to have created the same amount of 20-plus runs as anybody else in the room. So just continue to manage that and, with Jay and going from there.
With Gavin, has there been any thought to just giving him an entire series and not coming in the middle?
Yeah, I don't know if we've necessarily gotten there. Again, I think, we do think Brock's doing a lot of really good things, managing the offense and we're at where we're at right now, where we think they both deserve to play, and we'll just keep addressing that as we go.
The Florida defense is seemingly they've started to figure some stuff out the last few weeks. What has worked well for them where they're holding teams to fewer and fewer points?
Yeah, I think they're. I think across the league, we go back to the explosive play thing and not giving up as many explosives. They have the ability, certainly in everything they do, to mix coverage up, to mix front up, keep things in front of them. And I think across the league, you're seeing that. And so this is a good defense. Got a lot of respect for this defensive coordinator and the job he's done over the years. It'd be a good challenge for us.
What's the mood of your guys right now? I mean, are they frustrated, angry, hanging their heads, and is it the mood you want for your guys coming out of a game like that?
Yeah, I think this is a great group. I really do. It's a great group of kids. Sometimes you think as a coach you care more than the players, but I don't feel that way. I think the mood. There's certainly. I think every week these guys, win or loss, have gone back to work understanding that this is about the process. If anything, I think they know what that margin really looks like right now. You get into a situation, you turn it over one time in an SEC game, and that can cost you. You jump off sides on the 1 yard line, could cost you. And I think you can talk about that early in the year over and over again, but you look at our last 2 weeks, making a play at the end of the game being the difference, not making the play at the end of the game or the penalty here or there, and they understand the seriousness of this conference and how much each play matters.
I think back in that Southern Miss game, it felt like Jamori was maybe going to be Brock's favorite target, and he's just kind of disappeared. Is that just not getting enough plays to get the ball around more, or where is he at in terms of an option?
I think it's obviously a hard situation. I think, you look at it and you're always evaluating that room, and it's who's been playing the most consistent ball, and we think not just in the receiver room, but on the offense as a whole, Dane Key's probably been as consistent an offensive player as we've had. It then goes to the ability of when Barryon Brown touches the ball, he's got a chance to make those big plays. So, there's a lot of respect for Jamori's game in those situations, but the reality of it, as is there ends up being some type of a pecking order, and especially when, we're not necessarily built to just go out there and throw it 40, 50 times a game. That's really what it's come down to.
The offensive line has improved a lot since that South Carolina game, but can you just elaborate more on what you still need to see from them?
Yeah, I think the overall, just from a penalty standpoint, has been really concerning, I think, for us. And again, we feel like from a play calling standpoint, scheme standpoint, we're trying to do as much as we can to, protect some of those situations, our protections when we throw the ball. But also, as you guys know, there's times where you got to cut it loose and push the ball down the field, and you got to do it. And one situation was that last drive. I think we were moving it pretty good, and before you know it, we're in a second and 20, second and 30 situation. So it's that overall consistency. Again, I think there's been physicality, running the football. There's been improvement in the protection piece, but we just got to keep working on that.
Any of those guys pushing to give you more depth there? Coach Stoops had mentioned Cortland Ford getting closer.
Yeah.
And then there's we haven't asked about Ben Chrisman in a while, but is he in the mix?
I think there's going to be, we're going to see more people rotating in and playing for sure this week. So I think guys like Malachi Wood, Cortland Ford, we're definitely going to need to get some more guys going and give them an opportunity.
Teammates this week after that game Saturday.
Yeah, I think just preaching consistency and something that Coach Stoops harped on. We brought in our leadership guy, Jason Cummins, it's in-house, and just talked about emotional control amongst the chaos. Saturdays are a chaotic environment. The fans have been fantastic for us for the home games. I mean, can't thank them enough for the environment they've created here. And we need to feed off that, but also not let it take us past the whistle, where it creates those penalties that are shooting ourselves in the foot on both sides of the ball and not letting us finish drives on offense. So that's kind of been the message to the guys in the locker room, is to feed off that environment, to let those emotions be there, but in a healthy way, and not let it escalate past the whistle to those silly mistakes that you saw on Saturday.
It's got to be a fine line, I would think, though, between playing, amped up and aggressive that you have to play football, but also having that control. How do you control that?
Yeah, I think it's something you start with those habits in practice, being locked into the plays, because every football snap is absolute chaos. I mean, there's bullets flying every which direction, and I think just a certain level of maturity is required from our guys that are in the game, and understanding that you do need to play with that a healthy emotion in between the snaps, because if you came out flat, you'd have the exact same result, maybe even worse. Because I don't think this team's ever come out flat this season. I think we come out with the right intentions, with the juice, but again, it's trickling past the whistle, and it's just stupid mistakes that we just can't keep having.
You know, how do you as players hold each other accountable versus just coaches holding you guys accountable in those situations?
Yeah, I think just like as you said, players have to hold each other accountable. It starts in the locker room, and you know, I think this team is a mature one, and I think we understand that the way this team felt in the locker room after this game, I think was indicative of the way we need to correct things. And I don't think we really need to bark and talk at each other more about it. Sometimes it's not really the way to go. I think this team understands where it fell short, where it disappointed the fans, disappointed ourselves, and what we need to do to correct it moving forward.
How do you think the dynamic here between the home games and the road games? It seems like you guys are more dialed in and disciplined and focused on the road than some of these recent home games last 2 years.
Yeah, it's definitely been a theme and something we've looked at, something I've talked to Coach Stoops about. I think it goes back to the emotional control. I think when you're at home, you've got so many more family coming in. You've got friends from back home that are here. We've got an insane crowd, an insane home environment, and then you don't have the exhaustion of the travel. You're at home, you're a little more comfortable, and I think we're letting that comfortability and that emotion get too far, get past where it needs to be, and letting that emotion create negative energy outside the snaps rather than funneling it towards the mission and the common goal. Because when you go on the road, every environment's so hostile in this league that I think guys tick up their discipline a notch, knowing that it's a road game, knowing it's going to be loud, knowing the environment. And I think we need to be able to have the maturity as a team to carry that intensity and that attention to detail at home and on the road.
You know the Swamp, you guys played well there a couple of years ago. What have you told the guys that weren't on that team 2 years ago about it, who haven't been there, and how are you guys preparing for it?
Yeah, it's one of the better home environments in the SEC. I know it's 90,000+. They fill that stadium regardless of team performance. Like, that fan base is loyal to their program, and they're coming off a good game last week and a win the week before. So, you know, it's going to be rocking down there as it usually is. It goes back to having that internal discipline, the emotional control, and that take your attention to detail up one more notch than you think you got.
The Florida defense, what have they done well, especially as of late, where they've really seemed to kind of put the clamps in some of the recent opponents they played?
Yeah, I think their defensive fronts are pretty multiple. They're not just going to line up in the same look and let you attack it, play in and play out. They're going to stress your eyes, bring in different simulated pressures, things of that nature. And just, I think their physicality and size on their interior is something that's helped stop teams in the interior run. So that's something, you know, inside we've got to play well. They have two bigger guys, 88 and 99, that we played against them last year, that are long, heavy guys that play with heavy hands on the inside. So just going to take good pad level, good hand placement, attention to detail to unlock that defense.
Coach Stoops always says it's a different year, different team. But is there something about this team, that school, that gets you all in the right frame of mind for this game?
Yeah, I just think in the SEC, well, I mean, I guess it used to be SEC East games, but, you know, any team that you play year in and year out, there's always a little bit of animosity towards one another, just because I've played those guys for years in a row now, same with Georgia, and you get to know them, you get to know each other's game, and it's always a fun and very physical football game, and so we really look forward to it.
Coach Hamdan mentioned to us that Cortland and Malachi maybe worked in a little bit more this week. Have you seen them kind of progress and show some good things?
Yeah, I think Cortland, for the first time since he's been here, is 100% healthy. He's had a lingering hand and wrist deal, and so that's kind of set him back a little bit while he's here. And I know it's disappointed him because he feels he can be a better football player and contribute to this team. And so it's finally good to see him out there without a cast on his hand for the first time in like 2 years. So I know he's stoked. He's excited to be out there and contributing full speed, healthy, being able to use both hands. And Malachi's taken a big step forward since the end of fall camp. He's a kid that's local, loves his program, really cares about this program, and he tries to do things the right way, and he's gifted in a lot of ways with his size and his length. So just continuing for him to build on that consistency, which he's started to do, it's been a good thing for us.
What's been key in the running game, you know, doing well, and what needs to happen for that to continue?
I just think harping on physicality. You know, the run game, especially in this league, is physical, and you have to be a physical, offensive line unit that is a cohesive unit as well. Having just cohesive communication all against the movement, against the base looks, and just building those relationships with the guys, having time to bank those reps with one another, and then bringing the physicality, some of that's helped us.
Coach Hamdan talked about
You okay, Jim?
Coach Hamdan about getting more explosive plays, and he says some defenses are playing softer, trying to contain those plays. What do you see from your vantage point? Are teams less aggressive on their pass rush? Are they dropping guys more to try to cut off those big plays, or have you seen much difference from your vantage point?
Yeah, I think, any smart defensive coordinator, especially with the speed in this league, understands that you can't live giving up explosives, and they're smart. They're going to force you to play disciplined football for 12, 13, 14 different plays, and that's hard to sustain at times. So, it's something we've got to get figured out, how we can create explosives in the pass game, even if they're dropping. How can we build those chunk plays? It might not be the 90-yard bombs over the top every time, but how can we get those 15, 20, even 30-yard chunk plays? And in the run game as well, what can we do as an offensive line if we can spring our running backs even faster, that second level, let them make that last guy miss, what can that play turn into? So I just think it's getting creative as an offensive staff. I think they do a great job of putting us in position, and it's now time to go out and execute. I think we got a good plan for it, and it's something we are aware of and working on.
You all had that physical identity when you first came here. It slipped a little bit by your all's own admission. Do you feel like it's back close to where it was then, and could you even lean in on it even harder these last 6 games?
Yeah, I think it's on the right track. I think a theme that you're seeing throughout college football, especially with offensive lines, that it's hard to build a tight-knit, cohesive group very quickly because of the nature of the portal, the way you have to build rosters these days. And I love the guys that we've brought in. They love being here. That's not ever in question, but it's just I've only known the guys for a couple months for some of them that came here in fall camp. And so being able to build those relations and understand where everyone's going to be so you can play fast and physical. There's no thinking. That's really, I think, where we've taken a step in the right direction. Guys are playing more free, cleaner eyes, and that allows you to be physical when you're not concerned about missing your assignment. I think that's something we're taking a step in the right direction, but something we're going to continue to push every day.
East Chest, West Chest, who you got? Friday
West
night?
Chestman. I got to go with the alumni. My wife teaches at East Chestman, so she'll probably lean the other way now, but yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah, no doubt.
What's just the mood been like in the offensive rooms this week?
Man, work, locked in, focused. Just minimizing all of those, side talking and just getting sidetracked, and the focus is way more locked in than we've ever been before.
A lot of talk about discipline. How do you guys define that? And do you see that as a problem in the locker room when a game like that happens, or do maybe we make too much of that?
It's not necessarily in the locker room. It's more on the field where the penalties happen and those things happen. And the discipline in the locker room, of course, is gonna get shaky at times. But this is where we lock in and tune those things up and fix wherever those problems are. So we're just focusing on the things that we gotta focus on, like that discipline aspect, just running the offense smoothly without any interruptions or, personnel errors or anything like that. So we're just focusing on the right things and being locked in at all times.
As players, how do you hold each other accountable versus coaches holding you?
As players, man, we just gotta be just like the coaches. We gotta understand what's the goal at hand, and we got to look at the things that we did wrong and help guys understand. It's not always about, just me and your goals for the season or whatever you have for the game. It's always about winning, because when we're losing, how good are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to win, so each one of us, our names are going to go up either way. You know what I'm saying? So just keeping that goal in mind, that we got to win games in order for us to, get where we want to be.
Demie, who's the guy that can speak up when things are going rough like that? Do you have that one leadership voice that can pull everybody together?
There's a couple guys, Eli Cox, Brock, me at times, different guys on the defensive side, Pop, just different guys just speak up. We all have like a shared leadership kind of thing going on, so it's not just one guy that we look to, because it's a team effort, you know what I'm saying, even with the leadership part of it. So it's more of a shared leadership.
You guys tend to play well on the road. I know you've only been on the road once so far this year, which is kind of odd at this point in the season. But what is it about those road games that you guys do so well?
Man, it's just having all the odds against us, you know, knowing that the fans aren't going to like us, knowing that this team is going to, you know, think that they're at home so they have the advantage. So we're going in with that mindset, that underdog mindset, and it's just a different aspect, which is what we need to bring here at all times, you know. Took 2 losses here, so it's just you just got to stay focused, man.
The home thing has gotten a little unusual for the last 2 years. Have you been able to put your finger on it? I know Coach Stoops yesterday was saying he's asking you guys, what is it? What can we do different to change those screws?
No need to shoot. I'm just focusing on things we got to focus on, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not in his shoes to tell you what is and what isn't, basically. So we're just focusing on what we got to focus on. You know, we'll let Coach Stoops handle that.
So, I mean, we talked to you before the first game about, you know, your role changing from what it was expected to be, Chip being out.
Right.
And you were ready for that challenge, right? But it doesn't feel like you've been a workhorse back. Like, I don't know. Obviously, you're ready for that. But are you wanting to do more?
I mean, I always want to do more. You know, I feel like that's just the nature of being a football player, and I feel like everybody on the field wants to do more. I feel like we all could have done more to win that game. You know, so that's just me being a guy that always wants the best for a team. Just not personally. I could have done more, you know, in different areas without even being on the field, you know. So we could always do more.
Do you feel like the running game has been productive, and do you feel like that can help the offense?
I feel like it has been productive, and I feel like it has been helping the offense. Not even just me. Brock is running really good. Gavin comes in. Jamarion comes in and runs well. When J. Pat was playing, he was running well, you know, and now we got Chip back. So can't wait.
Demie, what's your message to Jamarion? It sounds like the coaches are really on him to do all the little things. Really, you know, as a veteran, what do you say?
As a veteran, I say just enjoy the process, you know, because it's not always going to look pretty, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't pretty for me, it wasn't pretty for many other guys. So right now it's just understanding that this isn't the end goal, you know, it's a bright future ahead of you with the carries that you got and the things that you're learning right now, understanding pass blocking and just the whole game as a whole. He's becoming a pro, you know, so, and he's so young right now too, so he's gonna have his mistakes as well as others. So just enjoy the process. That's the message I got for him.
Coach Bush said that y'all were really kind of trying to find more explosive plays. Where do you think the best way? Is there a solution to that problem in your eyes to finding more explosives?
Break tackles, honestly. Break more tackles. So run harder, faster, and make it happen. Honestly, as simple as I can put it.
Are we good?